What's good, YouTube? This is Boxingwave, and we are back with the Wave Report, episode 8. Okay. Uh Later on this afternoon. All right. It'll probably be on by the time I'm uploading this video here. Chris Eubank Jr. is going to be facing off against Liam Smith. It should be broadcasted on the zone if you're here in the States. And if you're out there in the UK, you'll be able to have access to it by watching it on Sky Sports. All right. And that'll be pretty much it. I think the next big card we get Anthony Yard against Arthur Beterbiev, which I haven't done my breakdown for yet. All right, so be on the lookout for that. And I should hopefully I'll have that up by tomorrow, if not Monday the latest. All right, so let's talk about it's a whole lot of boxing news. Okay, I haven't done a wave report all week since like mid last week, so I have a lot of boxing news to discuss. Let's start back off with 126, which is what is I basically broke the 126 division down in my last video that I did covering news. And there's been a lot of switches and a lot of changes being made with this division. Now, basically, all sanctioning bodies is gonna have a title fight on the line. Right? Let me just pull this up here. All right, and it's a lot going on, but some changes are gonna be made. Now, last week I announced that Isaac Dobe was gonna fight Mark Masayo. All right, and that was gonna be like a WBC title eliminator of some sort. That is not happening now. Now Isaac Dogbe is going to be fighting Robesi Ramirez for the WBO title. Okay. So they're gonna go the WBO route and fight each other. It's a very good fight. No problems there. And now Mark Masayo is gonna go the WBC route and fight Brandon Figueroa, who originally Figueroa was supposed to be fighting Stephen Fulton in their rematch when Fulton was supposed to move up, but he's staying at 122. And now we're supposed to be getting the Inoue fight at 122. And Fulton's two titles are going to be on the line down at 122. So Mike Sayo is going to be fighting Figueroa now, and Dog Bay is going to be fighting Robesi Ramirez. And also Lee Wood is going to be fighting Mauricio Lara. I also addressed that. That was announced like last week. And that's going to be for the WBA super title because Leo Santa Cruz no longer, he vacated his title. He no longer, I know he held it for like 3 years without a fight defending it, but he is no longer the champ with the WBA. So the full title is supposed to be on the line for this fight. And then for the last one, Luis Alberto Lopez, who recently beat Josh Warrington, he's going to be defending his new title against Michael Conlon, who had lost to Lee Wood in the fight of the year, one of the best fights of the year last year, right? So 126, we're all getting fight soon. My only thing is, and my one complaint with this division, and you guys already know, if you guys have been here for years, you know, my complaint with this division, no unifications ever. When's the last time we got one? In the last decade. I don't even think we got one. All right. So good news that everything is going to be, in motion. There's fights that's going to be made. I don't see any of these guys moving up soon, but hopefully the winner of these fights, hopefully we can get some unifications here. All right. So if Conlon ends up beating Lopez, or, I would like to see him fight the winner of Lee Wood and Mauricio Lara. And if Ramirez and Dope, that winner, hopefully we could get Ramirez against the winner of Mike Sayo and Brandon Figueroa or something like that. I don't care. As long as I don't care how they mix it up. Just give me a unification at 126. I'm tired of these guys holding. Of course, you're gonna have your mandatory fights, but let's get some sort of unification at some point. We just can't have these belts being held, not being defended, just fighting mandatories forever. Gary Russell fighting mandatories for years, right? Never unify. Let's get some unifications. All right. So let's move to the next news. Shakur Stevenson, he's going to be making his lightweight debut against Yoshino, all right? The Japanese fighter that beat Ito, he beat Nakatani. He's a Japanese fighter that's undefeated, a lot of KOs. He's tearing shit up over in Japan in the lightweight division. Now, I know a lot of you are not familiar with him. I know a lot of you, it's a lot of names at 135, and Yoshino is not one of them. There's a lot of fighters that we want to see Shakur Stevenson fight. He's moved up from 130, right? Doesn't have his belts. Left them at 120, 130. moved up, called out William Zepeda, called out Isaac Cruz. Like he said, he's willing to fight Frank Martin and all these other guys up there. He wants to smoke with everybody up there. Now, me, based on the fact that a lot of these guys are either not available or they got or not interested in the fight. Some may be ducking Shakur. I said that I would love the Jermaine Ortiz fight, not only because Ortiz called out Shakur and said he's willing to take that fight, but I was very impressed with Jermaine Ortiz's performance against Lomachenko. All right, and he's already beaten Jamel Herring, who also lost to Shakur Stevenson. They have a common opponent, and I think that would have been a great fight. Ortiz is lightning fast. He's a very athletic fighter. He's a very good, crafty boxer. And I would have loved to see Shakur face some money like that. But Yoshino, I have no problem with this fight. If he's available, he's undefeated. He's a dangerous fighter. I like the fight. I have no problems with the fight. Of course, there's more fights out there. There are better fights out there for young Shakur. But I'm cool with this fight. I have no issues with this fight until something better comes around, like maybe a Frank Martin, like a Devin Haney, like a Lomachenko, like a Tank Davis or a Ryan Garcia or whoever, anyone at 135 with names, they're all good. But Yoshino is stepping up to the plate and they're trying to work out a fight between those two. And I obviously don't have no problems with that. Again, I would have liked the Ortiz fight over this one a little bit, but I have no problems with this fight. This is not a bad fight at all. All right. So going on to the next. So we got a lot of news to cover, but I'm gonna go through everything real quickly. Ryan Garcia finally signs a contract on paper. It's on paper. Him and Oscar De La Hoya the other day, they took a picture, them signed with a piece of paper in their hand, like the contract is signed. It's all good for April 15th with Tank Davis. Look, I told you guys this last week. Once I saw Oscar De La Hoya tweet something like, yo, the deadline's for Monday. Have this fight signed by Monday. I said to you guys, look, I don't know what this means. I don't know if the fight was never really signed because they said it was signed. I know that Ryan said in his interview that he did that he seen the contract and he thought everything was good to go. Oscar tweeted out, I haven't seen a contract. With these promoters and with the fighters too, but with these promoters, I don't trust them. They're doing whatever it takes to build a fight. I don't trust Oscar De La Hoya. This fight could have been signed, and this could have been more another way to just boost up the fight, just to keep people talking. All right, the fight might have been signed. Just because you take a picture with a piece of paper saying, "Yeah, we signed the contract, we signed out end of the contract," doesn't mean that it wasn't already done. It doesn't mean that it wasn't going to happen later. It's just, it could just be hype for the fight, more hype for the fight. All right. Do I want the fight to happen? Absolutely. I want them to get it over with. Because like I said, I put them in the entertainment side of boxing. They're fighting at elite level. Yes. And I saw a couple of your comments, and I think some of you got me confused on what I was trying to say. Because what Devin and Lomachenko is doing, these guys that's collecting belts, Teofimo Lopez, all those guys that's just been picking up belts and fighting champions, those guys are looking for legacy, where Tank and Ryan are looking for entertainment. Let's be real. They're selective with who they fight. And there's no titles on the line, no real titles, just junior belts, maybe junior belts. Ryan has not pursued. He hasn't tried to make a fight with a title shot yet in his career. And Tank, who is a former champion, yes, he has won a title in 3 divisions. He's only won a full title in 1 division, which was at 130. Okay. He hasn't won a major title at 135 or 140. There are better fighters in those divisions that he has not faced. And that's what all I was saying. They're on the entertainment side of boxing. They are prize fighters. And somebody left a comment like, yo, the Tank is a prize fighter. What do you think Lomachenko is? Lomachenko has had $1 million, a few $1 million worth purses in his fights. All right. He makes money too. They all make money. Devin Haney makes money, but they collect belts at the same time. There is a difference. Tank and Ryan are entertainers. They're looking to sell tickets and fight other big names or fight for their name because they don't always fight other big names. They fight and they bring the crowd because of them. Ryan, Tank, they sell out crowds because of who they are as fighters. But they're not chasing undisputed. They're not trying to get unifications or anything like that. Ryan is not even fought for a title yet. You know what I'm saying? So there is a difference. All right. They're fighting good fighters too, but there's levels. There are levels. There are more dangerous fights out there for both. And they're not taking them. All right. But yeah, the fight is signed for April 15th. I guess the only roadblock from this fight at this point is whether or not Tank wins his trial. Hopefully he wins. Hopefully he's not guilty. All right, but we'll see what happens with that. All right. All right, so next bit of news, Jermaine Franklin, Dempsey McKean. Both names that's been floating around for AJ's next opponent, and I spoke a little bit about this before. I did get a chance to look up Dempsey McKean. He's a former sparring partner with AJ, all right, and he's a tall, lengthy southpaw, quick hands, great movement. Between the two, to be honest, I actually personally think that Dempsey McKean is a more difficult to fight from a stylistic standpoint. Stylistically, I think Dempsey McKean, even though AJ has been in there with Usyk, who's a tricky southpaw himself and lost to him twice. Dempsey McKean is not going to be an easy fight for AJ. Not saying that AJ can't win, but it's not going to be a fight where AJ is going to look good winning because Dempsey is tall too. He's long, he's rangy, and he moves well. And that is not the fight that AJ needs right now, in my opinion. I think that would have been a great sparring partner, which he probably was leaning towards the Usyk fight. But just having a fight with him now doesn't really prepare him for what? Who does he prepare for? For who exactly? Dempsey McKee is just a difficult opponent. Whereas Jermaine Franklin, people are more familiar with him. He just fought Dillian Whyte, right? He just fought him. People were impressed. Some people think he won the fight against Whyte. Some people has gone as far as saying that he was robbed against Dillian Whyte. So take Franklin. We're familiar with him. He was going to get the AJ fight, even if he won. And take the fight. Fight him. And, that would be a more impressive win because stylistically, yeah, Jermaine Franklin, as far as letting his hands go and more willing to go blow to blow with you, he's going to bring that for AJ. And, AJ needs his confidence. He's lost twice. Last thing you need is to be dealing with someone that you got to hunt down, and that you will probably win, but win on points is not going to give you the confidence you need. Go in there and fight someone that is going to be there to fight with you, and there's no disrespect with McKean. I'm not saying he's a runner or anything like that. It's just that it's not a fight where AJ, a guy with a big name and a star, and you're looking to get him in the ring against Whyte in a rematch or Wilder in the near future or even Tyson Fury. You want to get him in the ring with a fighter that is going to make for a fun fight. You can possibly get a stoppage win. And it's just a better fight. And against a guy that people are more familiar with. No one knows anything about Dempsey McKean outside of him being an AJ former sparring partner. And that's how people are looking at it. It's like how people looked at the Robert Helenius fight. People didn't like the fight because they look at Robert Helenius, even though he was coming off 2 wins against Konoski. They're looking at him like, this is just Wilder's former sparring. He was just sparring with Wilder. We just saw the video and clips leading up to the Fury 3rd fight. We knew how that fight was going to go, and I didn't make a complaint about it because I was cool with Wilder getting the tune-up, just like I'm cool with AJ getting the tune-up now. I'm cool with these fights, but you want to get him in the ring with someone that, people are familiar with, someone that just had a good performance against a top-tier fighter. And I think Jermaine Franklin, between those two, is the better choice, in my opinion. I think that's the route they should go, even though Franklin lost the fight, technically, to Dillian Whyte. Philip Hergovic came out and said that he said Joshua was a beast, but he started to box too much. I read that and I felt him when he said that. And I think it does make sense. But you can make the argument too. You can make two arguments. You can make an argument and you can also agree with it in certain cases because depending on who the opponent was, I felt like Joshua did box a little too much instead of bring the fight to him. And I think that Carlos Takam, who I'm going to talk about shortly later in this video. Carlos Takam is a fight where I thought he boxed too much. I think that was one of those fights where he should have brought the fight straight to him. Some people say Andy Ruiz in a rematch. People thought Joshua was being too scared. I think it was just a lot. I think personally it was just a lot on the line in that fight because he has this coming off this loss. You know what I'm saying? And he couldn't risk getting knocked out again. So he fought very safe. But I get what Philip Hergovic is saying. But I also believe that Joshua needed to improve in his boxing. I know he was big. I know he's always had the punching power. But I think for certain fighters like a Usyk, let's say if Joshua had never lost to Ruiz and he didn't start to slim down and he didn't work on some of his boxing after that loss, I think if he had fought Usyk where he was just going to fight him in the same way that he fought Dillian Whyte, where he just walked Whyte down, or when he boxed against Klitschko. He was boxing against Klitschko in that fifth round or so. He just said, screw this. I'm just going to go straight at you. Certain fights, it's going to work. But certain fights, you need the box. You just got to, I don't think AJ did the right thing with every fight. But for the majority, it did work. I know he lost to Usyk because he boxed too much. Some people say he should have been more aggressive. I thought he was very aggressive in the rematch. I just don't think it was enough. And being aggressive means possibly burning yourself out or leaving yourself open to get countered with bigger shots. I don't know. I agree. I know what he's saying because I do think in certain fights, he should have boxed less and been more aggressive. But, it leaves yourself open sometimes too. I think boxing works sometimes waiting for the counter like Charles Martin, a Dominic Brazil, boxing him, but beating him up slowly. You go either way with that one, right? Depending on the fight. He boxed well against Povetkin. It worked out. He switched it up. He was getting busted up the first few rounds. And he switched it up, dropped his lead hand and started shooting a jab, like an up jab, and, got low. And he changed it, and it worked for him. And he ended up getting the knockout anyway. Sometimes I think AJ, for him, box for the knockout. But certain fights, you probably should just brawl it out a little bit. It worked out for Klitschko. All right? But it almost failed him for Klitschko, too. Anyway, moving on to the next topic. Joyce against Zhang Zhilei. Zhang, whatever way you say it. This is going to be for the WBO interim champ title. Joyce, we already know he's been like the WBO, mandatory for Usyk's title. Joyce, Zhang Zhilei, I like the fight. I have no problems with the fight at all. Joyce is staying busy. I like that. He fought Joseph Parker recently, stopping him. Zhang Zhilei lost against Philip Hergovic, but a lot of people feel that Zhang won that fight. It was still an impressive win for Zhang, even though he was in defeat. I think this is a good fight. I have no problems with the fight. Zhang has a big punch, all right, but he's older and don't have great conditioning. So we already know the obvious weakness with him. It's just that he has a huge puncher's chance because even though Joyce is like the Terminator, he's a juggernaut, he just walks through everything. I think at some point, at some level, I think someone can hurt him. I think once he steps up, these guys, big punchers. Zhang is a big puncher. Good boxer, left-hand fighter. But the thing is, he just doesn't have the conditioning. I think I think Joyce is going to walk him down, beat him up. But he's facing on someone that do have a punch. And if he's not careful enough, he could get rocked. All right. But I do like the fight. I do expect Joyce to stop him off of just his outworking him. Zhang, we've seen him tired. We've seen him almost have a heart attack damn near in a fight before. You know what I'm saying? So against Forrest. So I think the fight is cool. I'm glad that Joyce is staying busy. I know he wants this title fight against Usyk, but in the meantime, he's still staying busy. He's not just waiting around for the one fight he wants. He's staying busy, and I like it. He's not waiting around. He calls out people. I like. He wants Fury. He wants Usyk. He wants Joshua. He's called them out. He's called out the best. But if he's not getting a fight, he's not waiting too long. He don't have that much time. He's an older dude. Even though he hasn't been pro that long, I like the fact that he's jumping in the mix with other fighters and not taking too much time. I really like that. I wish more fighters did that. I wish Demetrius Andre did that in his career. Don't wait too long. Try to go for the fight, but don't get to a point where you're slacking, you're taking too much time off, or you're getting stripped for your titles and shit. So I'm cool with that. Tony Yoka against Carlos Takam. They're looking for a March date out in France. This will be the return of Tony Yoka ever since losing to Martin Piccoli. All right, getting stoppage. That stoppage loss. Wasn't expecting that stoppage loss, to be honest. I'm not never been crazy high on Yoka. I thought he's good, solid, but Tony Yoka losing that fight was shocking to me. And the way that he got dominated, he got beat down. And I think Carlos Takam is a very solid opponent. Good tune-up fight on the way back. Build your confidence. Carlos Takam is tough. You can't just sleep on him. But he should be someone that Yoka should be able to handle. If Yoka loses this one, I don't know, man. They're gonna really, 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 really like set him back. And he's gonna have to start from the beginning. He's gonna have to make a major change. I don't know if he's making any changes for this fight here, but if he is to lose to Yoka, Martin Bocoli losing that fight, it was an upset. It was, but losing this fight as well, you might need a major change, or well, if he loses, he's gonna have to start way lower and work himself way back up. All right, but not a bad fight, a good comeback fight. Carlos Takam always brings a good fight, good boxer, solid puncher, pretty durable. He's been stopped, but he's been in there tough with some really tough fighters with big punch. He's been in there with everybody over the years, and I think this is a good fight. All right. All right, so moving on, Dimitri Bivol against Joshua Buatsi. They're looking to make that the next fight. This is something that we were expecting. I think most of us want an undisputed fight, but it's just so many mandatories that's in the way, so many fighters that's in the way. Bivol did beat Zerto Ramirez. Joshua Buatsi, he's kind of been at the top of that rankings, and I think I think even if this fight goes down and the winner, whoever the winner of this fight will be, we probably still won't get undisputed because whoever wins the Bivol and I'm sorry, not the Bivol, the Better BF yard fight, they are already being mandated to fight Callum Smith next. So there's always going to be a mandatory in a way, it seems. So I feel like I would love to see the winners of these fights unify and just get it undisputed, but it's just the sanctioning bodies and the mandatories keep getting in the way of these fights. But this fight is not bad. Buatsi is a good fighter. He had a good solid win against Craig Richards, but I personally didn't think he was ready yet for the big time, and I still don't believe it. But it's his opportunity now, and I think he should take the opportunity. All right. But I have Bivol winning this one pretty clear. I think Bivol can possibly stop Buatsi. Possibly. Buatsi's good, and especially early, but Bivol is just on a different level. And I think I would have loved to see a little bit more before you got to this level. But I'm not mad at this fight. I just don't think Buatsi can pull it off. All right. Um, Next bit of news, Edgar Berlanga. He's moving on from top rank. He's done with top rank. We know that he's been suspended for his last fight because of him biting his opponent. All right, so he was off for 6 months, but he is not going to be returning to top rank. And I think it's kind of bad, because I think top rank build him good. Him getting those like first 16 first round knockouts. I think once he leveled up, he started going the distance, started getting dropped, started to struggle in some fights. And most people just don't think he's it. I think people I think he's shown that he is very vulnerable, and I don't see him being an elite 168 fighter right now. I think he has a name. He has a name, and I even went out the window and said something crazy the last couple months. I was like, if Canelo's looking to fight, come back and fight a tune-up in May, a tune-up, a real tune-up. I thought Berlanga was going to be a good tune-up because I think they can sell it off the Mexican Puerto Rican thing and the rivalry that they have, and they could sell it off. But it is a tune-up. It would be a tune-up for Canelo, you know. But where does Berlanga go? Well, if he goes to the PBC, it's going to be trouble for him. It's going to be hard for him because you go to PBC. There's a lot of fights there, but there are a lot of dangerous fights there. You know, I see Jamal Charlo moving up and fighting him. I think that could be a realistic fight. You have Demetrius Andrade that just got there. You know, um, and then at the top of the gate, do you really want to fight Dave Morrell Jr. right now? Can you compete with Plant and Benavidez? I don't think he competes with any of these guys. I don't honestly don't. And but he has a name, and I think these guys are going to be looking for him if he goes to PBC. If he goes to the Zone or Matchroom or Golden Boy, I really don't know if they. I don't think they have the stable at 168, right? I don't think they have the stable at 168. Yeah, you got Canelo there. Yes, you have John Ryder. You got Danny Jacobs. I don't think they would ever fight, but I don't know. You never know. But you don't have much of a stable over there. I think PBC, if you're not going to be with top rank, I think PBC has the stable at 168. And if he goes that route, I don't know. I don't know why things fell apart. I don't know if it was about the money. Maybe they just let him go because they didn't feel like he was worth the money that he probably wanted. But I don't know what happened. But all I know is that he's gone, and it doesn't get any easier from here on. And if he is going to go straight into an elite level fight, it's not going to look good. We'll see. All right. Um. Anyway, moving forward, Eubank and Smith are fighting today, this afternoon, and Brook is once a winner. And this is not the first time Brook had some words with Smith. I think they were trying to make a fight with Liam Smith in the past, and the same with Eubank Jr. I don't know where things would fall. To be honest, man, you know what I always wanted? I wanted Brook against Conor Ben. I like that fight. I like Conor Ben and Brook before before the Eubank Jr. Conor Ben fight. That's what I wanted. We didn't get that. Brook is just looking to get another bag before he goes. I mean, he's already retired, but he's looking to get a big money fight before. So, he's looking to fight the winner of this, and I see it happening. Because Conor Ben, even if they try to revisit the Eubank fight, which I think they will do. I just don't think Eubank is going to agree to a catch weight this time around. Being that Conor Ben already screwed up this last opportunity with this whole drug test situation, whether he's clean or not. I don't know how it's going to come out at the end, but that slowed everything down. So Brook is looking to fight the winner of it. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not really big on either, way or whatever. I just Brook is a good boxer though. He is a very good boxer still. It's just that at his age, just don't know how durable he is at this point against a top tier guy, especially these guys punching. Smith would be tough for him because Smith is relentless. The pressure, Brook has lost to pressure before, you know. Um, Carson Jones fight back in the day, the first fight, I think Brook lost that fight, even though they gave it to Brook. And he lost pressure due with Errol Spence as well. You know what I'm saying? Triple G as well. So pressure is what stops Brook. And Liam Smith brings the pressure, especially later half of the fight. And then Eubank, not much of a pressure fighter now, but Eubank bigger, more powerful, And if he does go back into his older self, where he does bring the pressure, like he did against Saunders, like he did against Groves, that would be too much for Brook, in my opinion. All right. So that's my thoughts on that. Now, Dillian Whyte, they're working out a possible matchup with Wallin. This was a fight that was supposed to happen at one point. I'm cool with that fight. That's a good fight. As in fact, that's a very tough fight for Dillian Whyte. If he's not careful, he can lose that fight. I said this before. Before he pulled out, before Otto Wallin can beat him if he's not careful, you know? And him coming off the Jermaine Franklin fight, I'm sorry, I can see Otto Wallin winning, all right, on a points decision, you know? Whyte is a bigger puncher. Whyte has the better resume, the more experience and all that. But right now, Whyte has lost or has not looked at as impressive in his last 4 or 5 fights. All right, being stopped by Povetkin, you know, winning the rematch, being stopped by him, not looking any good in his Mario's walk win. You know, that's when he was overweight. You know, came in with all that depression because of all the stuff that was happening with his drug test. And then who else he had? They get knocked out by Tyson Fury. And then not really performing well against Jermaine Franklin. Um, I see Otto Wallin, you know, being a tough fight for him, you know, and I know he's looking to get or AJ rematch or some kind of big fight, but Otto Wallin can definitely ruin those plans if he's not careful. But it is a good fight. It is a good fight, and it's pretty close to being a 50-50 fight. In fact, I rate Otto Wallin higher than Jermaine Franklin. And Jermaine Franklin and Whyte went life and death with Jermaine Franklin. You know what I'm saying? So um we'll see. You know, good fight though, good fight. All right. And for I guess for like the third time, David Benavidez against Callum Plant has a date in March 25th. I don't know if this is they keep saying like they agreed on it. I don't know why they keep reporting this as if they haven't reported it twice already. Is the fight official or not? That's all I want to know. Let me know if the tickets are not on sale. The fight are not is not official to me. When the tickets are on sale for this fight, then I believe it. But just giving us dates or giving us like agreements or agreed on news reported is, you know, scheduled. I want to see tickets on sale, you know, in an actual arena. I don't want a date. I don't want a time. I don't want an agreement. I don't want a handshake. I don't want a tweet. I want something more real than this. I don't know why they keep reporting this. All right. It's like the 100th time they reported this fight is done or close to being done. All right. But March 25th is the date. I love it. Most likely it's going to be a pay per view, you know, but I love it. I want the fight. I've been wanting this fight. I wanted this fight before Canelo even visited up to 168, moved up there. All right. I've been wanting this fight. This fight should have happened years ago. You know, ever since Benavidez, when he was WBC champ, you know, before losing it, even when Caleb Plant won, I wanted this fight. All right. So I'm good with it. It just I want to make sure it's official. I don't believe it until the tickets are on sale. All right. Next, and pretty much last topic of the day. Adrian Broner, Ivan Redcash was off. All right. It was a mysterious reason Ivan Redcash pulled out of the fight. He's done a couple of interviews basically saying that his promoter was in the way and basically blocked the fight. His promoter, Joe DeGuardia, was in the way. I didn't watch the whole interview. I saw two. They were really, really long. I was gonna watch 40 minutes of Ivan Redcash talking. I'm just keeping it real. I just don't care enough for the fight. But I know the video, the fight. I mean, his complaint was about his own promoter, who he didn't have contact with, and he was getting in the way. And Ivan Redcash went as far as saying that I would have taken the fight for free, like, you know, and that's sad to hear, you know. But now Hank Lundy, the fight is in jeopardy with Hank Lundy now as well, because Hank Lundy was the replacement fighter. And I did notice, I did look at Hank's his box rec, and I saw that he was scheduled to face someone next in February 4th, I believe, or February 6th. All right. Now let me pull up the article real quick because I don't want to get this wrong. But from what I've read on BoxRec, it was an article written by Jake Donovan earlier this morning. All right. But okay. So Hank Lundy was supposed to take a fight, scheduled a fight someone early February. All right. He's coming off of his 4 losses, and he was supposed to fight. I'm looking for the name of the opponent here. Where is it at? Where is it at in this article? I can't find his opponent. Okay, Ernesto Mercado. All right, guys, 8-0 with 8 knockouts. February 4th. It's supposed to be in Ontario, California, right? And the promoter of this fight was a local promoter, Red Boxing International. All right. So Hank was supposed to take this fight, but he withdrew for the fight because he had a cut. He suffered a cut, right? And the Red Boxing International had him placed under suspension because of this injury. So the California State Athletic Commission placed him under suspension because of this cut. All right. So I'm not sure if this cut was legit. I don't know if this was going to be his way out of that fight against Mercado because the Adrian Broner fight was offered to him. I don't know the timing of this because the Broner fight is scheduled for February 25th, which is a few weeks after this fight with Mercado. But these guys are getting in the way, and Lundy has went out and promoted, not promoted. He went out and spoke about the promoted on Twitter, saying, "Please stay away from Red Boxing International." This is what Hank Lundy tweeted. He said, "Promoter name is Ray Rodis. He's dirty and a crook. Has several lawsuits against him." Well, if that's true, why would you do business with this guy then? Did you know this before you signed the contract? I don't know the story. I don't know why, but I know Hank would want the fight with Broner. I know Hank would want that fight because it's probably more money, and plus it's a bigger name. It's a more lucrative fight. People seem to like the fight. Some people are interested in this fight. I know I was interested in it about 12 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But to be honest, man, I mean, these two fighters, and I'm talking about Red Catch, and I'm talking about Hank Lundy. They're good tune-up fights for someone that hasn't been active. Broner has not been active at all. He's came back a couple years ago, fought Santiago, a fight that I'm not even sure he won in my eyes. Giovanni Santiago. He fought him in February 2021. So it's been 2 years. And then he fought Pacquiao 2 years before that in January of 2019. So he's not been active at all, right? So I guess they needed a tune-up. I mean, look, if you're going to get a tune-up, get him a tune-up. All right, let him get a tune-up. They're trying to get a tune-up with a fighter that people are familiar with. Ivan Red Catch, he's been in there with some good fighters. Of course, Hank Lundy has as well. Get him a tune-up with someone that don't have any promotional issues or injuries or, any kind of messy stuff going on with the business, because this doesn't seem like it's Broner's fault. This doesn't seem like it's BLK Prime's fault, but get him a tune-up, like for real. That doesn't have. I mean, listen, the pay-per-view is not about the opponent of Broner. It's about Broner returning. All right, they're not going to do numbers of Broner returning against these guys. Are clearly tune-ups. Lundy is coming off a 4-fight loss streak. So just get him a tune-up. Now personally, me too, and I said this on Twitter, and it might be too much. I see people are responding to me on Twitter. I say, fights I like. I like the Sergey Limpian's fight. I like Mario Barrios fight. I like Ramsey Barthélemy. These are realistic fights, which I think Broner could win, but they're tough fights. I want Broner to go in there and be in there tough against somebody. That's what Broner needs. He needs to go in there where he has to win. Because, people that disagree with those 3 names, I get it. They're harder than the 2 that he was scheduled to fight, right? And I'm not saying the Hank Lundy fight is canceled, as it's just in jeopardy for now. As soon as we get an update, I'll give you an update. But those other fighters are tougher, all right? They might not be in paper, but they are tougher. And if you're calling out Regis Prograis, you gotta step it up. You gotta be in there with somebody who's gonna push you. See, the problem with Broner is not his talent; it's the fact that he just don't let his hands go. I was watching a little bit of the Santiago fight again last night, and Broner just does not let his hands go. He works behind the counter. He's looking for the counter, but he's like looking for the perfect counter. You know, he's not letting his hands go. Sometimes he's hesitant on his own counters. But he's a fighter that can sit in the pocket and rumble. He's a type of fighter that could walk you down. I've seen it before. He just doesn't do it enough. And I don't know what his problem is because he's going to give you like good three or four. If it's a 12-round fight, he's going to give you a good, strong 3 or 4 rounds. And those 3 or 4 rounds, he looks amazing. But those other rounds, he's barely doing much of anything. He just doesn't let his hands go enough. But he has the ability to be any of those guys that I've named. But he needs someone that's going to push him. And I think that's part of the problem. And I think if he's really looking to fight a Regis Prograis or anybody else that's in that area, he's going to have to fight. And Ivan Redcash and Hank Lundy, unfortunately, at this stage of their careers, are not going to really push him. I think Ivan can box and he's a little bit more durable than Hank. Hank is more of a better boxer. He's quicker. He's a little slicker and stuff. He can switch, but he doesn't have his legs anymore. He doesn't have. I know he looked good against Cepeda recently, but he doesn't have his legs anymore. He doesn't have the reflexes that he had. He's 39 years old. Red Cash, not that much of a boxer. More durable though. Willing to let his hands go more, but I like Mario Barrios. I think that's a winnable fight for Broner, but a fight that Broner is gonna have to step up. All of these fighters are at a disadvantage because Broner's already been training. So all of these guys are at a disadvantage. He's already ready to go, or should be close to being ready to go. But Limpiñet, Barrios, Barthélemy are fighters that I think Broner can beat, but he's gonna have to work for it or he'll lose. He's gonna have to work on it. That's what Broner needs. He needs to get pushed. But going 2 years, I understand why they're trying to drop so low and finding him an opponent because he's going 2 years without fights now. He went 2 years without a fight, came back for Santiago, didn't look good, and now he went another 2 years. So I get why they're looking for a soft touch. All right, but a guy with his ability still, he needs to get pushed in order to get better, in these last few fights or so that he, at least with the fights he had with this BLK Prime deal. All right. So anyway, that's all in the news today. I just dropped a video for Francis Ngannou, him coming to boxing. I also dropped another video with Stephen Fulton against Naoya Inoue, and also done the breakdown already for Chris Eubank and Liam Smith. That's already up. So if you want to check that out, check that out. And that's that. All right. So I will be more content on the way. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Please smash the like button, share the video, hit me on social media as well at Boxingwave 10. And I'll see you guys on the next Wave Report. Peace.